Friends, a user asked how to make a frame for an LED cat. I've got a strategy, so let's get cracking. So step one is to find an image with an outline. Of course, I typed cat image outline free. I am going to use this one right here. I am just going to screen capture this real quickly. I use a tool called Snagit. Absolutely love it. Once I've got it, I'm going to hit finish. That automatically saves it as a PNG. Then I'm going to switch to the tool picsvg.com. It is a free SVG converter. Absolutely love it. Simply find that image we just captured, upload it. I normally choose internal too. This time it is actually flexible. Whichever one you choose is fine because we're going to trace this with the new Tinkercad sketch tool. I'm going to simply save this in my downloads, and I'm going to call it cat, and I'm going to give it a name V2 because I've already done this once. At this point, you should find Tinkercad. Once again, it is tinkercad.com. I'm going to hit create brand new 3D design. Let's name it. This is going to be called cat LED. Once we click down here, it is automatically saved. I'll show you if you bounce back to the Tinkercad dashboard. This is how they look like when they're saved to the cloud. To get back to your project, you simply hit Tinker this. Now we want to import that shape we just created. Of course, we choose the file. I'm going to go to downloads. When I hit open, I want to choose art. I'm going to make this smaller than the print bed on my printer. I'm going to just do 180 because I think that's a decent number. It'll print fast and I can show you how the technique works. Once we choose import, there is our cat design. Now the LEDs that I bought are 6 millimeters wide. So this shape right here doesn't exactly fit what we need. Let me show you how we're going to make it so that it does. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring out my sketch tool and I'm going to find the widest part of the cat and I'm going to line it up. Right now, instead of building from right here, I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and I'm going to show you what I mean by line it up. So this sketch tool is 20 by 20 on a side. So right now, if I select those two and I do L for align, I'm going to align it to this edge, and I'm also going to see what it looks like if I align it to the bottom. That does actually work on this design. These will be on the grid. Let me show you what I mean. When we double click it, and zoom out, this is actually on the grid line, which makes it nicer for the tracing that we're about to do. I'm going to start from this spot where it is connected on the line. When I click, it is doing straight lines. I wanted to do a curved line, so I'm going to press the number 2 to switch to the Bezier curves. Now I can click, hold, and twist to get that as close as I can for my cat outline. Now we're having fun here, so we don't have to be perfect. I do want this next chunk to be straight, so notice I hit the number 1 and it's back in line mode. I'm going to switch to number 2, and let's make this curve right here. Notice the fewer points you have, the more smooth your design is. I'm going to stay in Bezier mode, and I'm going to click up here. Once again, I can click, hold, and adjust, but I'm going to leave that not perfect. I'll show you how to modify it in a minute. I'm going to stretch that one. I'm going to come down here, clicking, and I don't mind that it's not perfect. I'll fix that in a minute. Click, and just finish using those same steps all the way around our cat. Now that we've got our shape built, we can modify these. This is what's called smooth. Notice they're connected. I'm going to get this back so that this side looks pretty good. And then I'm going to click on the point and I'm going to switch to number 3. Now they're broken so that I can bring this one out and make it look exactly as I want. I can grab these points. I can click on this one and make sure I can adjust it too. Notice these were symmetrical, so I'm going to just click the point, hit the number 3 to break it. So now you can see I am only moving the one that I want to adjust. That also instantly made it so I could fix this side. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to get this point exactly where I want. I'm going to make sure this one is smooth as well. I can also click on this and I can delete it. Notice in modify mode, bang, that one's gone. I accidentally clicked and got rid of another one. Notice if you click while you're in this mode on a point, it deletes it. You can also simply do Control Z to undo that. Now I can switch to this one and adjust it to make it perfect. and then just repeat that process all the way around our cat. You can tweak and adjust this as much as you want as you try and get your cat to look exactly how you want it. I'm going to call this good, friends, and I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete the one we brought in. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to take this cat and I'm going to export it as an SVG. This is a two-dimensional design. I'm going to save it in here, and I'm going to call this cat LED 1. And I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to turn right around, and I'm going to import that file. And let me show you what magic trick that gives us. Choose art, keep the measurements. I'm going to take the blue one, and I'm going to hide it. And then when we click on this one, it has got a magic tool called outer line. This lets us grow this in every direction so that we can put in our LEDs. Now remember, we need it to be 6 millimeters thick. So what we're going to do here is put a 7. We're going to make it round, and we're also going to max the quality. Now notice we've got a nice smooth shape going all the way around. The LEDs will not fit down in this point. Remember, it has to be 6 millimeters wide. So we are just going to cut this off. With a hole, and then when you grab these, you can do Control G to group. Now that I've got that to an area where it's going to work fine, we're going to export this again as an SVG. It had an error. We're just going to hit OK. We're going to redo it. Export SVG. And I'm going to call this one +7 because we added 7 millimeters to the shape. Now, if we do import, choose file, and bring that back, choose art, keep the measurements, and when this one comes in, let's bump up the quality first, switch to outer line, and we only want this to be 1.2 millimeters thick. I think that's going to be strong enough. That's what I used on my template. We do want to make the wall 14 millimeters high. That way it'll protect our shape. We're going to take this one and we're going to make it 2 millimeters thick. That'll be the back. Let's real quickly build our inner line. We're simply going to re-import that very first part. Choose a file. We want cat LED 1. Choose art and tell it OK. Notice that fills this inside perfectly except for this little spot right here. We're going to click on that, choose outer line, and we only want it to be 1.2 millimeters this time, and press enter. We are going to make it round, and we're going to maximize the quality. It takes a moment to snap. I'm going to quickly also change the color just because I don't like that color. Let's go with black. And then we do need to cut off and connect this part. Real quickly, I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to click on this part and do Control D. Now I can shift click these and group them. And then I'm just going to make this one taller. And once again, shift click the black one in that hole and do Control G to group. So we're simply going to bring out Sketch and get it as close as we can. I am setting it on the work plane. Then when this shows up, I'm going to shut off the grid. That way I can click exactly where I want. And I'm going to make a little end to this. So I'm going to click and hold, and click and hold, and click to finish. I can adjust this now so it looks the way I want. I do want it to be kind of squared. And then I'm going to hit finish. Of course, I'm going to change the height of that to be 2 millimeters thick, just like the pink part. I will connect that in a minute, but check this out. First, I'm going to do Control D. So I've got 2 of them there, and I'm going to double click the sketch. The cool thing about this is now I can go to the add points, and I want to add a point here, and here, and here, and then I can pull, and then I can switch to the modify mode. Don't forget you do have to switch, otherwise it'll delete it. And we can bring this out here and create our 2 millimeter walls. I'm going to simply try number 2 to make this a symmetrical one first and see if I can get it so I like it. I do think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So I'm simply going to hit finish sketch and then raise it up to the 14 like the rest. Of course, that's a good clue that I haven't adjusted this one to be 14 yet. And press enter. Friends, we need to change this area right here as well. This is wider than 6 millimeters, so it just won't look nice. Let me show you how we're going to do that. The first thing we're going to do is bring out the sketch tool. I dropped it on the work plane, and I'm simply just going to go to this corner right here, switch to number 2 to make one of those Bezier curves. You can see it snap when I did it. And then I'm going to click and hold. And you can see that this is similar to that 6 millimeter angle that we've got all the way around. Now I'm going to go back to number 1. I'm going to click out here and just make a block that is going to cut those pieces off. I can adjust this afterwards to get it exactly where I want. I'm going to change my snap grid to 0.1 just so I can be a little bit more precise. I want to make sure I end under that line and under this line. And then I'm going to click and hit finish. I'm going to use this block to cut both the black and the pink. So I'm going to first make it a hole, and then I'm going to do Control D. I'm going to shift select the pink one. Notice it says 2 shapes, and when I do Control G, it cuts that. If we zoom in, you can see underneath it's gone. Now I'm going to make this one taller, and I'm going to shift select the black one and do Control G to group that as well. This is a more complex shape, so you'll notice it takes a little bit longer to group. Once it does, now we've got that 6 millimeter channel all the way around. Let's quickly reconnect our black line once again using the sketch tool. I'm going to drop that down as close as I can. I'm going to shut my snap grid all the way off so I can just click where I want to. So I'm going to get as close to that line as is possible. I'm going to press number 2 for Bezier curve and get as close to this spot as possible. Notice I did overlap it a little. I'm going to do 1 for line, make sure it comes out here. I'm going to do 2 to go back to Bezier curve. And I'm going to go up to this corner and I'm going to click, hold, and twist. It does not look perfect, which is fine though, because we're going to adjust it. And I'm going to do number 1 to snap that together. Now I can switch to modify, and I want to put a point right here and a point right here. Remember, if you click again, they disappear. So you don't want to click on those. You want to instead switch to modify. I'm going to move out here and use my curve tool to make that so it comes as close as it can to the former. Notice these were the number 3 mode so that we can adjust them independently. I'm going to hit number 3 to switch this one and just get it so it's reasonably close. Remember, we're going to have a bright LED in here, so if this is 1.4 millimeters instead of 1.2, nobody will ever know the difference. Hit finish, and then of course we need to match the height. That is going to be size 14, and press enter. Don't forget, if you accidentally set it on top of the pink, you can just click on the shape and hit D to drop it back down. So our shape is now rebuilt. The next thing we need to do is cut in holes for the wires. We're going to have 2 separate chunks of LED right here. Let me show you how easily we can add those holes. We're going to bring out sketch and we're going to set it on top of the pink. And we're going to simply use all of those sketch skills we've gained so far to quickly create a shape that follows us around, so we've got a trough that our wires can sit in under the LED. All right, so I'm happy with my wire area. I'm going to hit finish sketch. I'm also going to make it 1.5 millimeters deep. Let's switch our nudge from off to 1. And then I'm going to hide the black part so you can see this better. I'm going to click on that shape and do Control down arrow to sink it in 1 millimeter. Now remember, I made it 1.5 millimeters high. That is just slick for when we do Shift, Select, and Control G to group. Since it's totally poking out, it just cuts out a cleaner channel. If we do Show All, bingo, we've got the cat template finished. Now I want to add a hole for wires, and I also want to add a base. I'm also going to make the world larger because my printer can handle a 250 by 250 bed. So I'm going to change these quickly to 250, and I'm going to press enter. Click out here to bring that to life. And now I want to cut in a hole for the wire. I'm going to simply bring out a cube. I'm going to keep it 20 millimeters across, and I'm going to make it 5.5 millimeters thick because our LED channel was 6 millimeters wide. Click on this shape and do F for fit view. Zoom out a little and use the arrow keys to get it into place. Once again, if you want to be more precise, set it to 0.1. It would have been smart to build that perfectly straight, but I'll plan that for our next project. Now I'm going to click the pink one. I'm going to shift select that hole. Notice it says two shapes, and let's do Control G to group. I'm going to switch back to perspective view. It's time to add a base. We're going to simply do that with the cube. I'm going to look at this from an angle just so you can see it happen. I like to put the radius in here so that it's nice and rounded. I'm going to choose a size 3. I do want you to know if you stretch these handles, it breaks that radius. So I'm going to do Control Z to leave it like it was. And then I'm going to put in a new length of 40. I'm going to put a width of 80. And I'm going to put a height of 6 and press enter. This will be the base that this stands on. Now, to make it stand, we're going to put in another one of these. I'm going to bring it out. We can click on this box, and I am only going to make it 6 in this direction. I want it to be 60 across. And then we're going to leave the height at 10 because it's cutting in. I'm going to select those two, L for align, click right here on the base, make sure I choose center and center. And that is ready for grouping, but we're also going to use it for the peg. So do Control D, bring this down with your shift nudge. Now we can take these two and do Control G to group. And then we're going to take this one and we are going to change its height. Remember, this is only 6 millimeters thick. So we're going to change the height to 6. And then we are going to give this a radius of 2. So that way it rounds just a little bit. It makes it easier to stick in. I'm going to make it red. And then this is important. We do need to rotate it 90 degrees. Notice if you stay inside the shape, that is just 4 clicks, 22.5 degrees at a time. You can also hold down Shift, and then it's 45 degrees at a time, so it takes 2 rotations. Let's do Shift Select to align these. Once again, L for align. Click on the blue one, and we want to have it in the middle. And then you also want to have it in the middle vertically. I'll get this at an angle so you can see that better. And then we're just going to nudge it in. I'm going to switch my nudge back to 1. That way it moves easier. And we want to make sure it connects with our base. Boom. Does not poke through, but it does totally connect. Notice we could have made our cat straighter on the bottom, but because of this system, it's going to work fine as it is. Friends, just like that, our project is complete. I'm going to select all of it. Notice I have not grouped those parts. It is not a big deal. It actually makes it faster for the export, and we're going to save it as a STL. I saved mine to my 3D modeling folder. As you can see, it's already got the name Cat LED. And bang, we're ready to bounce to Bambu Lab Studio. In Bambu Lab Studio, we're going to create a brand new project. Simply hit Add, and of course, grab our Cat LED STL. Notice this is going to need supports, so we're going to simply go over here to the support button, and we're going to enable it. I am going to use the normal auto support, and then we can simply slice the plate. As you can see, using the 0.2 standard profile, it is going to take about an hour and 20 minutes, and we can hit print plate. Quickly double check our colors. I'm going to use the black, and we're going to send it to the 3D printer. After a moment, it jumps to the device menu, begins downloading. Of course, once it's complete, we can click play and monitor everything from afar. And a little more than an hour later, we've got a wicked cool LED frame. Let's go test it out. All right, so this was test 1. As you can see, this is a problem. It just doesn't fit. Test 2 left the gap. that wasn't good enough and didn't push in far enough because I didn't have that groove. I snagged the LED on Amazon. There are many colors to pick from. Of course, I'll have links in the description. You need to find these lines right here. That is where we're able to cut these. I'm going to start right down here in the bottom. That's where I left that hole. And then I want this to bend all the way to right here. I marked that spot with my thumb. I'm also going to quickly hit it with a pencil. Then you can simply grab scissors and just cut on that black line. Of course, now we can test it again. That's going to work really well. Now we need to cut this piece right here. Once again, we just slide it in. And when we get down here to the bottom, once again, we need to mark it. I'm going to mark that one right there. And of course, snip it right on the black line. With that completed, we need to find the little connectors. Simply take a knife and cut back 1/8 of an inch. The silicone cuts really easily. Seems like every time I go more than 1/8 of an inch. But practice makes perfect. This one I missed the black line by a hair, so I'm just going to cut twice. Repeat that process for the small strip on both ends. Find the wires that come with the kits so that we can fasten these parts together. You'll solder the red one to the pad that has the LED facing up. All right, friends, so this is the basic soldering. Got it heated up, and I'm going to tin the pads. I am not an expert. Practice is making me better and better. You should definitely track down a how to solder video to make sure that you're doing yours as well as you can. We are also going to tin the ends of the wires so that way it's easier to solder them to the pads. I'll have a link to the soldering set in the description. I do love that it has these handles. Notice I am connecting the red wire up on the top where the LED will be shining. And of course, repeat those steps so you can fasten the black wire. So then, of course, we need to repeat that process with the shorter strip connecting to the longer strip. Once again, the positive is the one that is on the bright side of the strip. Grab another of these wires, and we need to extend the ends because we're going to use this to connect to the power source. Of course, let's tin the ends of that to make the process easier as well. Once again, we're going to connect the red to the LED side and make sure the connection is secure, and you're done. And friends, there they are with those wires tightened in. Power brick powered on. Of course, this cool piece came with the power brick. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. And when we put it together, bang, we've got bright LEDs. How cool is that? If it doesn't work, first thing I would test is swapping the wires to see if maybe these were the opposite way. And then I would also make sure you did not have any bridges between where you soldered those parts together. To finish the process of building this, I'm going to take this apart for a second. This way we can slide it through the hole. All right, so let's get ready for assembly. First, I'm going to peel off those supports. That way we can put it together in a minute. Now we can slide the wires through. They're going to come out the back. And we simply place this in here. Notice we'll want to get the top correct before we pick where it ends. So I'm just coming around this edge, making sure that ends right about there. Just gonna let you know, I did buy some clear silicone so I can make those joints stronger, but I don't want to wait. Maybe I'll do that another day if I tear it apart. So, sliding these pieces underneath. I'm going to attach the base. It is a press fit. Pretty darn sturdy. Of course, attach the black as well. Making sure you've got a good connection with both. And finally, moment of truth. How cool is that? Friends, there you have it. Steps to take any image and turn it into the outline that you need to make an LED sign using those 6x12 LED strips. Of course, there will be links in the description, and if you have questions, I would love to hear them. I also want to say thanks to the user, Mira Taruk, I hope I'm saying that right, for asking the question because I had a lot of fun doing this project. I do also want to say thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Once again, you can check the description for more info or use the bit.ly up above. And finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching this video. Don't forget, every time you hit that like button, share a video, add a comment, or hit subscribe, you're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day and keep tinkering.